will introduce Mislav Balković from the College University of Algebra, who will tell us a little bit about frameworks, European frameworks, and how do they apply to the national situation in Croatia. Because everybody is talking about this, I'm not sure that all of us understand what's really going on.
Thank you, Žarko. Thank you very much all for calling me here today. And I cannot stay silent on this discussion during the previous presentation. And really the problem of trust in the society. I am not going to talk about Croatia at all in my presentation, but let me allow just to give you a few information about the previous presentation and my opinion, because I think they could be useful. The problem of trust and the problem of not allowing other people or those from NGO sector to really interfere with the development of the policy is definitely something I see. I am vice chair of the Croatian Social Economic Council, so I'm representing employers in all those discussions with the unions and the government, and this problem of trust and problem of not letting others really contribute to the development of the policy is something we mentioned in this same room on Monday with 3 ministers, and they promised that they are going to change it. Whether this will happen or not, I don't know. I was also the only representative of employers in development of the current national strategy of education, science and technology, which currently moved from government to the national parliament. And yes, we didn't mention most of the areas of the learning or the development that should maybe have been put in. But what we did is we said, okay, our current curricula and what kids are learning in schools is not good, and this should be reinvented and redeveloped. So it's still time to put media literacy and ICT and everything in it. We only mentioned STEM as an area we would like to promote, but didn't say anything about the curricula. So there is still time to get involved and to develop a curricula with media literacy in it. So in my presentation, I will try in 10 minutes to tell you a little bit, not so much about the employment opportunities, but how to actually make employment opportunities through some wider or using some wider approach. And when I looked at the activities in your IPRO project, then I pretty much saw that what you are doing, it's what Europe is currently also doing on a larger scale, let's say. So I'll start with the question, has knowledge changed its position in economic and social development? We know that knowledge was always important. Since the beginning of times, those able and skilled to hunt had more chances of survival than those unable. But is it somehow different these days? And to answer this question, I would try to emphasize 4 areas. There is a change in perspective, at least in this society and in many others. Job for life was desired way of living. Let's get a job and then wait for the retirement. It was pretty much something my parents always wanted. And today it's significantly different. It's knowledge for job. You need to have current knowledge in order to maintain your employability or job. On the other hand, impact of globalization and technology are very significant because of the pace of development, especially in media, in ICT, and pretty much in most industries. You need to constantly learn in order to be employable and to be able to catch the change in technology. And to be honest, globalization actually moved some of the not so knowledge-intensive jobs to other places of the world outside of Europe. Knowledge is a generator of competitiveness, and you can see it if you don't believe it. You can go to the survey or the results of competitiveness reports from different organizations, and you will see that those countries with a higher level of knowledge and complexity are more competitive. And at the end, knowledge is also a key to employment, and I will show you this in the next slide. So my conclusion would be, yes, knowledge was always important, but these days or in the past years, it's changed its position and its importance. So what is the quality of knowledge we are currently producing? To answer this question, I will use just 2 slides from the relatively new McKinsey research, Education to Employment or Getting Europe's Youth into Work. European Commission pretty much asked McKinsey to do this research in order to set some policies like youth guarantee and some others. This survey was done last year. It was finished at the end of the last year with some 5,300 young people, 2,600 employers and 700 educational providers. And they selected specifically countries where 75% of Europeans' unemployed youth is situated. And you'll see the countries on the next slide. So, first question I would like to show you, or the results, is what do employers think about the quality of education? So the question was to the employers, do you believe the lack of skills cause significant problems in development of your business? And overall result in these 8 countries is that 1/3 of the employers think so. And in Greece, Italy, as the countries most hit by the youth unemployment, almost 50% of the employers do think that they are not getting skilled enough young people for development of their businesses, while in UK it's just 18% as a country with not so significant problems with youth unemployment. And are they correct? I mean, the employers. Well, it's hard to say without bias, but maybe we can ask or we can get this answer by trying to compare the feeling or the results from 3 groups: employers, students or young people, and educational institutions. So the question was, do you feel that young people are acquainted with all the knowledge they need for the work or for the employment? And 35% of employers and 38% of the youth think so, but 74% of the educational providers. So I'm a dean of one of the higher educational institutions in Croatia, and it seems that we think we are doing a much better job than we are really doing, I mean, as educational institutions. So probably, yes, employers are more right than educational providers, because both them and young people do think that they are not getting the knowledge they need. So, okay, if the knowledge is important, and if we are currently not producing knowledge that is really capable of making most of the young people employed, then what can be done? What would be the best ways to transform knowledge to employability? Well, there are also 4 things that could be mentioned. Knowledge should be relevant, so the knowledge should be up to date, and what is learned should be really useful. It should be also applicable. It should be a mix of theoretical knowledge and of some kind of skills, something that could be applied. Knowledge should be also visible or documented in a way that you really know what students are able to do, and this should be public and should be easy readable. And there should be some kind of recognition of knowledge across labor markets in Europe, because now with 500 million people, Europe is one of the biggest labor markets, and it's important that people are free to move and are able to do so. Okay, is there some kind of a solution? I'll show you something you pretty much already know, but in a slightly different perspective. So let's assume there is a company, maybe a public television, like one will hear the presentation in a few minutes. And they need media engineer. This is occupation, this is a job role in their organization, their company. And this media engineer has to know something, has to have some kind of skills and competencies, like competencies on media technology, for instance. And those competencies are normally approved by qualification, by a diploma, and maybe masters in media engineering has this kind, or should have this kind of skills. And they could be obtained in some university. So basically, companies would mostly have most benefits if basically university is producing kind of knowledge they really need for their occupations. On the other hand, universities would do the best job if they offer study program for a qualification which actually testifies that someone who holds this qualification has some skills and competencies required to do some real life occupation and be able to get employed in some kind of a company. So basically, this is nothing new. This is something you normally kind of understand and see, but the problem is that this is not how the world is run these days. And although there is a link between companies and universities, it's not so, or other educational institutions, it's not so good, and that's why this 35% of companies and 38% of youth exiting educational system do think that they are not able to actually work because they didn't get the quite good knowledge. And the solution would be to get some kind of a new approach, new document, which is not so new in some countries and in most is, and here I'm referring to EU countries. This is occupational standard. This is a document saying, okay, for media engineer, what this kind of occupation should contain. And there is another new document most of the countries don't have, Croatia included. This is qualification standard, saying exactly what someone holding some qualification on diploma should know. And there is, of course, a study program which we already have in all the educational institutions. So occupational standards should have list of skills and competencies, while qualification standards should have list of learning outcomes. And, of course, study program which we have should have list of courses with the learning outcomes. So basically, this solution is called qualification frameworks. And their elements are, as we saw, occupational standard, qualification standard, new documents for many countries. There is in more organized countries or in most organized qualification frameworks some register or a list of units of learning outcomes. Some countries has like 20,000 of those small units already. And there should be a quality assurance system, something that really allows us to trust in those documents, in those diplomas, in the programs. So to develop occupational standard, and this is in iPro program part of the tasks, for instance, you would normally do some kind of employer's survey and ask them about the competencies for specific job roles. You would also use, if existing, some competencies, frameworks, or bodies of knowledge if for your industry someone already developed something like this. For media and ICT, there is, for instance, a document called E-Competence Framework, which covers part of it, not all of it. Technology outlooks is also important, some kind of documents produced by think tanks saying where the technology is going to go in the next 15, 5 or 20 years. And also there are expert organizations and professionals who can give or provide their inputs. So basically, a good job is done in Canada in surveying employers, and they very often produce this kind of the documents. This is in ICT, but this is the outlook of the requirements based on the survey. E-competencies framework is something you're familiar with. McKinsey's disruptive technologies you certainly know about is a kind of a technological outlook we all pretty much read. And there are also those documents provided by the think tanks, in this case in creative and digital media. To produce qualification standards, the other document which is for many new, we need to get inspired by occupational standards. So you need to go and search for the required competencies to do the list of units of learning outcomes. You need to produce units of learning outcomes by using level descriptors and active verbs, because they differ on the level, whether there is a secondary education or higher education. And you would normally in these documents find some assessment examples to be sure that actually every educational provider is maintaining the level of knowledge for this kind of qualification. This is pretty important. And of course, they should be also quality assured. So basically, at the end of the process, in some of the countries, you will find this kind of matrix of number of units of learning outcomes, small building blocks that are put on different levels. And those building blocks are going to be used in developing new qualifications in order to empower persons, to empower citizens. If they already have some of their knowledge certified and some units they passed, then when they want another qualification, whether partial or full, those units should be automatically recognized, not through some process of academic recognition or something like this. And then at the end of the process, there will be educational or study program development, which should cover all units for specific qualification in order to issue this kind of qualification, this kind of diploma. There can be institution specifics, but only in two ways. One is how to provide knowledge, how to teach. This is something every institution will organize by itself. And the other is there is a part of the learning outcomes that could be different. But if you are providing the same qualification in one country, then most of the units should be the same for the same qualification, or you need a new qualification. Quality assured, and there are two quality assurance, some of it pretty new for most countries. Quality assurance in delivery, in how the teaching is done, and in results. And I'll show you kind of a next level of quality assurance taken from UK. This is a development in UK which is not so new, but many countries don't have it. It's called Unistats. It's a comparison of the quality of higher educational programs in UK from the perspective of employment. So you can compare programs from all providers in different areas on how fast you will get employed, how many months you are going to wait, what will be your wage, and so on. So basically, they did a survey of employers and of alumni in order to see what are the real results of the educational programs that they passed. And two last slides should be kind of a future of employment. Normally, you know that employment is done in a way that you can be either a job seeker or employer or some organization in between connecting employers and job seekers. This is the page of EURES, the European Job Mobility Portal, something in existence for 20 years. And normally you post your CVs if you want to get employed, and employers post some kind of advertisements. And this is how it's done traditionally. Let's assume that there is some intelligent system going through your CV, searching of your competences, whether from your diploma or some other education, comparing them with a job advertisement from a company, and doing a matchmaking, and sending every morning message to you, if you are active job seeker, and to company, saying, oh, dear Mislav, we found you 150 job advertisements that at least partially fit your CV. For this company, you have 96% of your competencies matching what they need, but you don't know Spanish, sorry. For the next company, you are in 95%, but you lack some knowledge in mathematics, and so on. And at the same time, there is another mail or another message to the employer saying, okay, we found you 150 different potential employees with this matching. This is a distant future, most would say, but I saw the system working. It's right now in a development phase, and the European Commission is investing significant billions of euro in developing something like this. But in order for this to work, we need another mid-layer. This mid-layer is also currently in a development, and it's called ISCO, European Skills, Competencies and Qualifications. And this is actually a taxonomy. This is actually a dictionary of skills, of occupations and qualifications. And I will try to show you how it works if internet is working. If not, you will be able to try it by your own. But in a nutshell, there will be translation of all the competencies to all EU languages in order for the system to be able to help you get employment and to understand your CV from different countries. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, something will happen. But I'll leave you to try this at home. Basically, it's already translated to a number of languages. There are also some occupations in media technology, and I wanted to show you how it works. And I think in a few years this will be developed. There are working groups in Brussels, and there are people from different countries. Maybe some of you are also involved. And to conclude, if this qualification framework approach is really implemented in most of the countries, as the countries, at least EU member states, took kind of an obligation to put most of it till 2018 to place, then we will live in a much more connected labor market, and it will be easier for us to get employment in other countries, and that's how the knowledge will also help to get employment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.